Jai Hind everyone, my name is Rachna Singh Sisodia and I am assistant professor in CSC department, Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So the subject we are going to discuss is data warehousing and data mining. The subject code is BCS 058. Today we will discuss about the data warehouse process and technology, in which we will be discussing deeply about the warehousing strategy components, define warehouse rollouts, warehouse management and support process. Basically the session will be about how to implement data warehouse, how we are going to make the strategies for the development of the warehouse, and of course the planning, how to plan about the warehouse development. So warehouse strategy is traditional information strategy plan addresses operational computing needs thoroughly, but it don't give sufficient attention to decisional information requirements. The warehouse is actually designed to take the decisions that is going to analyze the data. So previously those technical or technical information strategies, when traditionally developed, was not enough to provide the sufficient decision making steps, but this warehousing strategy will definitely provide a better way to visualize the data. So here warehouse strategy focuses on decisional needs of enterprise. So the question arises here, what will happen if management don't make a strategy? Now, for any data warehouse, as we know that the warehouse is concerned with the particular organization, if any it belongs to any of the organization. So strategies depend on the type of the industry to which warehouse is going to be implemented. So if you take example here for airline industry, what will be the functional areas? The functional areas will be operations and marketing. So strategic planning will be included as crew assignment, aircraft development, mix of fares, analysis of route profitability, frequent fly program promotions, etc. Now let's take another example. Let's take the industry as healthcare. So here the functional area of use is operations, and strategic use can be included as the reduction of operational expenses. So the conclusion of this table is just to tell the developers to when they are going to design the warehouse for any industry, they need to check for what industry actually the warehouse is to be developed. So before designing the strategies, we should focus on the components. For example, first one is preliminary data warehouse rollout plan. That is, this is the kind of pre-planning for the development of data warehouse, and rollout is actually, it is a way, it is a process which is actually considered for any kind of new business is going to be started. So the concept is to divide warehouse development into phased and successive rollouts. Each rollout focuses on meeting an agreed set of requirements, and it is iterative in nature, and it should be designed in such a manner that can be easily managed. Then we have preliminary data warehouse architecture. So just for when architecture is considered, so in that case define overall data warehouse architecture for pilot and subsequent warehouse rollouts, and for that ensure scalability of warehouse. Scalability is the primary concern here, because the warehouse is going to contain all the data related to that industry. So the data, and we know that in the previous lecture I had described that the warehouse should be volatile in nature. It means that if there shouldn't be any procedure to delete the data, there should be in tendency to add more and more data, and if more data is getting added to the warehouse, the size cannot be for the change in size cannot alter the performance of the warehouse. So scalability assurance is must, and that defines under the warehouse architecture, of course. So now the last point is define initial technical architecture of each rollout, because the technical tools involved to design the architecture of the warehouse shouldn't be changed all the time. So initially it should be pre-planned, or it should be managed in such a way that that the technical tools should get prior design. Next, we have shortlisted data warehouse environments and tools. So create a shortlist for the tools and environment, and selection should be according to warehousing needs. So these are the kind of pre-planning process to whenever the development of any warehouse is taking place. So the strategy activities involved for warehousing are determine organizational context, conduct preliminary survey of requirements. When any owner wants to open any kind of industry, for example, if he or she wants to open an restaurant, so before building or before taking this step, they generally go for the survey. For example, that what are the dishes can be included for that particular location. So in that case, for any warehousing, a survey is of course required, and that can be done with the help of interview categories and sample questions, and there should be some standard interviewing tips that should be maintained while taking the interview. So conduct preliminary source system audit. The audit should be done regularly, and identify external data sources if required, and define warehouse rollouts. That is called a phased implementation. Rollouts is just a plan for the development of any kind of work. So define preliminary data warehouse architecture. Evaluate development and production environment and tools. So these are the steps that should be undertaken for the warehousing strategy activities. Here we need to understand what is actually the warehouse rollout. It is also known as the phased implementation. The basic concept of phased implementation is like dividing data warehouse development into phased, and in such a manner that the developer should get successive rollouts. And why it is done? Why this process phased implementation is done? Because it helps to manage user exceptions through the clear definition of a scope for each rollout. Ultimately, the decision is to be made, and before that, the warehouse rollouts actually it is a way to divide the development into many phases, and the owner waits for the rollouts, and then it can be implemented or developed. So here figure shows a sample table listing all requirements identified during initial round of interviews with end users. So each requirement assigned a priority level. For example, the requirement is customer profitability, and then product market share, and then weekly sales trends. So customer profitability is considered as the highest priority, because ultimately they have to think about the customers only finally. So it should be done on the prior note. Define preliminary data warehouse architecture. Define the preliminary architecture of each rollout based on the approved rollout scope. So whenever the phased implementation is done and it is done successfully, so we should know what process is involved to design the architecture of warehouse, and it should be approved, and with the defined scope. So here we should explore the possibility of using mix and of relational and multidimensional databases. Tool as shown in figure. So there is rollout number 1, that is in this case data warehouse is kept at the center, and front end there are 10 users are occupied there, and report writer there are 5 users which who are acting as a report writer. In rollout number 2, that front end users are now 15, and some EIS and DSS components are connected to it, in which 3 or some users are occupied over there, and some report server, they are going to maintain the report for the warehouse, and 10 users are there to for the alert systems. So the preliminary architecture should indicate the following: data warehouse and data marts. The data mart is a sub part of the data warehouse. Number of users, and of course the location plays a crucial role for defining the architecture of the data warehouse. So next topic we have, and this topic is very much important as per the UT exams for the BTech 3rd year: warehouse management and support process. This will include how to manage the warehouses and what are the support processes that will be going to manage it. So design to address aspects of planning and managing a data warehouse project. These are critical to successful implementation and subsequent extension, because once the warehouse is developed, it should be managed in proper way, and there should be some support process involved. So this is why that's why they are considered as the critical parameters. So processes are defined to assist project manager and warehouse driver during warehouse development projects. When a developer or the owner is going to develop these any kind of projects of the warehouse, these processes should be clearly and concisely defined. So it includes some issues like define issue tracking and resolution process, perform capacity planning, define warehouse purging rules, define security measures, define backup and recovery strategies, set up collection of warehouse usage statistics. So we will study one by one all these issues that are included in the data warehouse development and processes, support processes. So define issue tracking and resolution process. During course of a project, of number of business and technical issues will surface. A sample issue log tracks all issues that arise during project. So a kind of alert system is here to track all the issues during the project. So issues logs formalize issue resolution process, and they serve as a formal record of key decisions made throughout the project. So these plays a very crucial role for actually tracking and resolution the process. So there should be some the issues tracked in project should be follow up properly, and there should be some dedicated resolution process as well to take care of those issues. So there are some issue tracking guidelines listed here. Issue description, like state the issue in not in a paragraph or in long note. The issue briefly in 2 or 3 sentences so that it can be identified and the issue it can be taken care. Urgency, of course, it depends on the what type of issue is that. Is it emergent, more emergency, or it just at the lighter note? So indicate the priority level of the issue, like in high, medium or low. So raised by, of course, the issue raised by the person who actually raises the issue should be noted here. Now assigned to, and the issue assigned to which team, and who is responsible for solving the issue, and it should be tracked on the regular base till the issue gets resolved. Now that date open, date close, resolved by, resolution description, when the issue is recorded, when it is going to get resolved, and the person who actually taken care of that issue, and of course the resolve, like what kind of issue was that and what was the solution for that issue. Second, we have performed capacity planning. Capacity planning is of course it is a main parameter in warehouse. So, space requirements are determined by the following, like schema design, what type of schema the warehouse is following, expected volume, expected growth rate, I mean addition of data at a particular interval of time, it should be taken care of. Indexing strategy use, backup and recovery strategy, aggregation strategy, staging and duplication area required, and metadata space requirement in space requirements. Second, we have machine processing power, like what kind of architecture, what kind of machine, what kind of hardware is getting implemented to the warehouse. It can be massively parallel processing, that is called MPP, or symmetric multiprocessing, that is called the SMP. They are ideal to choose a configuration because they are more scalable and meets minimum processing requirements. So, these machine organization is suggested for the for developing the architecture of the data warehouse. And third one is the network bandwidth. This is mostly important because the addition of data is done at the regular basis, updation of data is done on the regular basis. So, network bandwidth must not be allowed to slow down the warehouse extraction and warehouse performance. Define warehouse purging rules. Purging rules basically specify when data are to be removed from data warehouse. Like companies are interested in tracking performance over 3 to 5 years. In some cases where a longer retention period is required, the end users will require only high level summaries for comparison. So, in that case, define the mechanism for archiving or removing older data from the warehouse. Again, I would like to say that removing older data is not a good option. So, it would be better to archive the older data because data is precious here in data warehouse. So, check for any legal, regulatory or auditing requirements that may warrant the storage of data in other media prior to actual purging from the warehouse. Define security measures. Security is again important factor. Keep the data warehouse secure to prevent the loss of competitive information either to unforeseen disasters or to unauthorized users. There shouldn't be given access to the unauthorized users because the data is very much severe here, because sometimes the data belongs to some particular organization and they just don't want to let their data get misused by someone. So, define the security measures for the data warehouse taking into consideration both physical security as well as the use access security. So, physical security, like where the data warehouse is physically located, and as well as the user access security, where the users access is there or not. So, there should be some standard measures taken and the standard access given to the authorized user only. Next, we have defined backup and recovery strategy. Now, consider the following factors. Data to be backed up, of course, batch window of the warehouse, maximum acceptable time for recovery, acceptable costs for backup and recovery. So, these factors should be included while defining the backup and recovery strategy for any warehouse. Also consider the following when selecting the backup mechanism. For archive format, every organization follows some archive format because they have some full data warehouse and they just don't want to lose any kind of data, because data can be manipulated and can be used as a decision making. So, automatic backup devices should be done here, like if the storage is full, so it should have the capability to back up the data automatically. And parallel data streams should be there, like if the storage is full, so there shouldn't be any kind of thing that the more data cannot be entered, or the user is feeling difficulty to add more data or to modify any kind of data. So parallel data streams should be there, like parallelly the work should be done. Now incremental backups. For big data warehouses, some incremental kind of behavior is can be implemented to back up more data after the after some time, or after any kind of interval. Offsite backups, backup and recovery procedures. Basically a team is dedicated to do the backup and recovery procedures, because the data here is the kind of gold for the organizational authorities. They just don't want to lose any kind of data in any manner. So a dedicated team is hired to do the backup, and if the data loss is there, so they can recover the data with low cost. Now the next we have the for data warehouse processes are set up collection of warehouse usage statistics. Once the data is they are in data warehouse and it gets uploaded in some mannered way. So of course they are there to perform some kind of analytical statistics. So data sets there should be a setup that collect the statistics which is getting designed by the warehouse. So these are collected to provide data warehouse designer with inputs for further refining the data warehouse design. So this process is done for the more betterment of the warehouse architecture, just to filter more and more refined data, to ignore the irrelevant data which is not required for the architecture, to track general usage and acceptance of warehouse. There should be some statistics or strategy that is used to track the general usage, and the warehouse which is being designed should be accepted. Define mechanism for collecting these statistics. So there should be some method or methodology which is being run parallelly to collect these statistics, because these statistics are going to give a picture to take decisions or to visualize the data. Assign resources to monitor and review these regularly. There should be some team which is being assigned to monitor and of course to modify or review these regularly. So this is it from my side. I hope you liked the video and keep studying. Thank you so much.